Well, good
Wow.
afternoon,
Yeah.
Chad.
Good afternoon.
I am so excited about our podcast today because we're
Me
going
too.
to be discussing some really cool updates for the market.
Yes, we are here in Western Washington, where I think there is a solar eclipse because it's so dark.
No, it's
Just
nice.
kidding. It's just northwest weather at
It's Pacific
2
Northwest.
p.m., yes.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
But we are here at the offices of Skyland Properties, and I'm here with my good friend Diane Young with
Hey.
Skyland Properties, and I am Chad Leesburg with Loan Depot. And we're here to give an update on the market and talk about first-time homebuyer needs and maybe touch on some renovation financing options for you guys.
I'm really looking forward to hearing about renovation. That's going to be really fun today.
Excited to tell about it.
So, without further ado, here we go. I am so excited. It's spring. No longer, if you're thinking, I want to go find a house, but I don't want to walk in the pouring rain. So this is great. The sun's out. It is definitely springtime, and the market's going to be great during the spring. In fact, statistically, there is more homes sold during the spring than there is during the winter and summer. So even if you're thinking, I want to list my home, definitely want to get on that right away.
Yes. I think we're seeing good pickup in the market here, at least in the Seattle area. And we are also seeing interest rates come down a little bit in the past few weeks since we did our last podcast, and the national average on a 30-year fixed loan across, all of the lenders, it's kind of a mixed bag, but the average is right now 6.75% fixed for a 30-year loan. So we're down.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, it's still up there historically, but things are going in the right direction still. And it seems like we're having some, like I said, some pickup in the market overall.
And like I said before, with the interest rate being maybe a little bit higher than we would like, you are not going to see the crazy 50 offers to one, and you're trying to get an offer through, and you're like, oh, this is the 10th time I've tried this and I've got bounced out by a higher offer. You still have a little security with a 6.75 interest rate where you can ask for closing costs or ask for an inspection, where when the market was at 3%, there is no chance.
Yeah, we haven't really ever talked about that. I've talked about it in some settings, and it's what I personally experienced, but something that you really can benefit now from, with interest rates not being so low and the market being so heated and competitive, is you don't have to be as concerned with what I'll call buyer fatigue for yourself in losing offers. I went through that myself, where you make an offer on a house, it's not yours, but you're emotionally invested in it. Even when you get to the point of just making an offer on something, when you lose that, I mean, at least for me, and I'm in this business, it takes its toll on you. It's just like your energy and your motivation of continuing to look. So that's something that what I'm saying is, you don't have to deal with that the way that you used to when rates were as low, in the 3s and 4s, and there was more competition. You might be a first-time buyer and go out and get the first place that you make an offer on, and that you may not realize that there's a benefit there, because you don't have to suffer through losing 2, 3, 4 offers.
10, try 10.
Yeah, I mean, people, a few years ago, I had clients going through that, and they would get fatigued, and they would basically, go off, just forget buying. They would just stop. And
it's so interesting, because
Yeah.
back then they were doing 10 offers, doing 10 pre-inspections at $400 each. That's $4,000, and they still didn't get the offer because
Right.
they didn't go high enough. So right now you're not in that bracket when you buy, so you're not going to have that competitive edge, which I think it's really smart, because you can always buy your home and refinance or streamline the loan and get the interest rate down when the rate goes down, and you still benefit.
Right, right. So I think there's people out there that maybe if you're on the fence about buying, especially your first home, there are big benefits to rates being higher where they are now. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
And
What can I ask you, like from 5.5 to 6.5, about what does that look like? Like, is it $100 more, $300 more?
now you're
Can you
testing my
even?
mental math ability. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking a few $100s. Depends on your loan amount, obviously, but yeah, it does make a difference. If you let me see, if you shave off 1 percentage point in the interest rate on what would be kind of a typical loan amount in this area, let's say $700,000, you're probably going to save $500 a month on, would you say 6.5 versus 5.5 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, on 1 percentage point difference in rate. So yeah, if you buy a home right now at 6.75 and a year from now it's 5.75 or 6%, you definitely will want to refinance because it will be worth your while because you probably won't have to do an appraisal. You would just have your title and escrow. Oh, and plug for Loan Depot is that if you buy with us, we will waive our rather small, reasonable origination fee that you pay when you purchase. But if you purchase with us, we do waive that when you refinance with us forever. So you have that benefit purchasing with Loan Depot where we'll waive that.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
It,
I mean, it's how much is that? It's like $1,500. So it's not nothing. That's some good savings for sure.
that's
Yeah, and
excellent.
that's about average for the market. You're going to have origination fees almost everywhere, but we will waive that if you refinance with us.
How many years? Like
It's they're
indefinite?
quoting it as for life, as a lifetime customer of ours. Yeah,
So
I
basically,
couldn't believe it either.
so that's
So
awesome.
lock it in now and buy a
Yes,
home with us.
that
Yeah.
is so cool. So if it's like 6.5% and it goes down to 5.5, then you can call Loan Depot, say, hey, let's streamline this so there's no cost, right?
Well, there's going to be costs. You probably wouldn't
Title.
have an appraisal, but you have escrow and title, and just like everything with inflation, it seems are going up. But you would have a cost of I don't know, probably $2,000 at most. Let's say that, but we don't want
But
to
saving you
stick on these
$500 a
details.
month,
Yeah,
it's worth
yeah,
it.
yeah. So that you're going to recoup that within a matter of months. So that's where the simple, crude math you do to make sure that it makes sense to refinance. Um, so if you're gonna recoup the savings within 4 to 6 months, you definitely want to refinance unless you plan to sell the house in 5 months. But if you're gonna stay there,
Yeah.
yeah. And then if rates go down even from there, you refinance again. I've on property I've done 3 or 4 refinances, as rates went
Yeah, I
down. So
have
you
to.
just
Yeah.
lock it in when you can, when it's sensible cost wise, and you're getting the savings. And then I'm doing that now with clients now who I have somebody that bought a second home in Hawaii, and the rate was quite high because some unique features of the property itself, and so his rate's 8%. So we're going to refinance him to 6.7%, but explain to him that fully expect to refinance again in a year and a half. But you never know, rates could not go down. It's possible that they may not go down. So you want to lock that in and get, refinance on a fixed rate.
So the market right now is picking up because it's spring. And again, I said spring is the best time to go out and start looking. It's April. So you have great weather. You can get, if your kids are going to relocate in a school, it's always nice to get them established by June. So they meet a few friends before they go to school and they get established. So I think that's really important. It also is the best time to list, but it's also a really good time to buy. And especially now, like I said, the interest rate is not so low that you're going to have multiple offers and have a problem like you did a few years ago. So that's what I'm seeing. And it's kind of PTSD for those that tried to buy back then.
Yeah, there are people on the sidelines that, like I said, may have gotten fatigue and
stop looking.
Yeah, stop looking.
Yeah, so it's okay to start looking again. Open yourself up to that thought, because this is such a beautiful area. And I mean, I love the Puget Sound, I love Washington, and I love this area, North Shore. It's just great. I mean, you've got the lakes, you've got, the mountains close by.
Yeah.
You can go skiing, it's not too far. And you go down to Seattle and you go to Mariners games. So it's kind of a great location to live.
Monster truck shows this weekend.
So concerts.
Taking the kids, literally am.
So
excited for that.
Yeah, so it's great. But I think, yeah, you guys need to, really consider this, because we never know what the future holds. So
yeah, so we wanted to talk about renovation financing, which a lot of people have heard about, but you may have questions. If you have questions that we don't answer here, reach out to me. Happy to answer. It's not that complicated. It really depends on what you want to do with a property, but we have people that find properties that are old, dated, maybe they're just original construction from 60s, 70s, and they need a refresh, or there's real problems that have to be addressed.
So they don't want a Brady Bunch house.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, or they want to restore it to the glory days of what it was, but it's got some damage and wear and tear. So that is something that Loan Depot is really focused on, is renovation financing. And as far as the reasons you would do renovation, it comes down to those two reasons. Like, you want to improve a property or change it or restructure the design, or you have to make it financeable. Like, there's a hole in the roof, or the plumbing doesn't work, something that has to be fixed before a traditional normal lender will finance it. So you could have a mix of those or one of those.
I will input that on that. There's always a possibility that we can have the seller fix the roof because it won't pass appraisal.
Right.
But then there are cases where the seller has no income to be able to do that, and you still want to buy the house. A lot of the older homes in Bellevue and Newport Hills, Somerset, Lake Hills, some of them have not been remodeled.
Right.
So you want to be in that location, but I was hoping for something a little nicer.
Yeah.
So that's where Chad comes in, because he can do that. How does that work, Chad?
Yeah. So those would be the reasons you do it. And then the path to do it is typically going to come down to two options. You can use an FHA loan, which is going to be what people, you probably hear the term 203K, and that's just the FHA's renovation product. And then you have conventional, which is almost always going to be what's called a home ready loan, home style loan. Home ready, something else. Home style is Fannie Mae's renovation product. And there's just some differences on what you have to do as far as FHA or not FHA. With FHA, the primary difference is with FHA, if you're doing any sort of extensive remodeling, or you're going over $50,000 in renovation costs, then you need to have, they call it a HUD consultant, that somebody kind of like an appraiser that is certified by HUD to assess what needs to be done on the property to make it financeable. They're not going to tell you, yeah, you have to paint the wall because it's ugly. They're going to say, you have to fix the hole in the roof
Or
to make it safe and
plumbing.
sound and bring it to code. So they will indicate those things, and then you can mix in what you desire to change in the home, and then they will actually scope that out and kind of certify that for FHA financing. And then with a conventional home style loan, you don't have to have that HUD consultant. Those are the big differences. You might get a little bit lower interest rate with FHA. You're probably going to use FHA if you're doing a smaller down payment, just like you would on a non-renovation loan. But those are the big differences.
And Chad, what is the down payment for FHA on that kind of loan opposed to conventionals? What's the percentage that they have to put down? Like FHA's 3.5.
Yeah.
So,
it's the same down payment requirements.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
And then we also have VA, Veterans Administration, VA renovation. So not everybody will qualify that. Pretty much anybody could use FHA or conventional, but if you are a veteran or an active service person, then you can qualify for a VA renovation, which would be zero down, which is the best option for renovation. And we're would love to support our veterans and do non-renovation and renovation VA loans.
You got my head in a spin now. I'm thinking of all these clients like, oh, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
So now the other thing I wanted to bring up just briefly is I know what a bridge loan is, but a lot of people don't really know what a bridge loan is. So can you talk a little bit about that, how that works financially?
Yeah, we were just talking about this because I had a scenario come across my desk today for a client. And bridge financing generally refers to someone owning a property, they own their home, and they have equity in it, and they want to buy usually a new primary, and they can't qualify for their existing mortgage and the new mortgage, or they don't have the equity taken out of the existing home. It could be a combination of those two, or just one of those. So we have products to facilitate that, and we have something that I looked at today where if someone doesn't have the cash at all to make a down payment on the new primary, and they don't qualify on the income basis to carry both mortgages, that we can provide them with a loan against the current home, and then finance a portion, use that as a down payment against the current home, and take that equity and apply it as the down payment. Let's say that's the down payment on the new purchase, and then qualify them on a much smaller loan. It's typically going to be a situation where someone has sizable equity in their current departing residence, and that fits those situations really well. So we have at least 3 programs to facilitate that.
What if somebody wanted to buy a home for their kids and have their kids on the loan and still own their home because they have enough equity to do both, but they want to use the bridge loan in order to give the deposit so the kids could have a home? Is that even feasible?
It would not be a bridge loan, a traditional bridge loan in that regard, because the bridge is a temporary facility.
Yeah.
So you're gonna probably sell that departing home.
Sense.
So if you're living in your residence as a parent, we can finance. I've done that many times where somebody does help their children or parent purchase a home, and you can co-sign. You can be the sole borrower and have the child or parent occupy, and you can get the best part of that is that you get preferential terms as if it is owner occupied, even though it's the parent. Non occupant that's the borrower, you can do that, and you get
Right.
the better interest rate as a primary occupant,
Right.
sort of thing. But yeah, bridge financing is going to be when you for whatever reason you don't want to, or it just doesn't make sense to sell your home and then not have somewhere to live. You can't close on it, and then you have this gap where you don't have somewhere to live before you buy
So
the
the
current
bridge.
home. So the bridge will lets you make that offer. You're still living in your current home that you're gonna sell, and you buy the new one. You move. That's the scenario that I just dealt with today. Is someone that's retired, has good equity in her Seattle home, wants to downsize. Something else we talked about on a prior podcast, downsizing.
Yes.
She wants to downsize to a ground floor little garden condo that's ADA accessible, and sell her large Seattle home. But especially with a disability, harder for her to make the move. So it will give her plenty of time, up to 6 months, to move and then list and sell her existing Seattle home. It's a great option for people that we have.
I like it, because if someone has a home and they're like, I really want to buy this, but I don't have my home sold yet, they can go ahead and get the home that they really want, and then take the time, fix up their home to sell.
Right. If you have equity,
easier.
that's the key. Is you
Equity.
do need equity. If you did a 3.5% down FHA loan 2 years prior, it's not going to work that way. But
Right.
yeah, if you're somebody that you've been in your home, or you did a big down payment and then it's just the equity's locked up in there, it's a great fit for that.
Because
situation.
even on a bridge loan, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you still have to have 20% equity in your home when you do a bridge. Is that right?
As far as I know, there's no minimum required, but the math is gonna work out that you need to have. It's gonna come down to more dollars.
Okay.
That you're gonna need equity dollars in your existing home to then borrow against that and have that money shift as down payment dollars to the new purchase. Yeah.
So let's go back to first time buyers for a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of topics
I
with
know
first time buyers.
We're
My favorite.
Probably overwhelming everybody a little bit, but the first time buyer, if you haven't been on a mortgage for 4 years, 3?
Yeah.
Is it 3 now?
Yeah.
Then you are considered a first time buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And there are advantages through the Washington state where you can get assistance for the down payment.
Yeah, if you haven't been on title.
If you haven't,
it's not
been
really
on
about
title.
mortgage, but
title.
It's going to go hand in hand usually. But yeah, if you haven't owned a home for 3 years,
so
you reset essentially.
So if you're like, I sold my house, I'm still renting, I'm paying $3,000 a month for rent, I'm throwing my money away, but I don't have money for the first, the down payment. You can get that through the state if you haven't been on title for 3 years. That's a great advantage for people that
Right.
I'm
It's
just
amazing.
not wanting to bite the bullet and do it yet. And let me remind you, rent is just always going up. And I was looking for a rental for somebody the other day because they were going to move out, clean their house, and then buy. And rent was like $3,500 a month, up to $4,000 depending on the location. That's $48,000 a year that's just thrown out the window.
Right. No.
So investment, it's a good time to invest.
Yeah, there are great programs for first-time buyers, down payment assistance. We had a client back in 2019. We had a first-time buyer, Tony. He'll go by Tony, his real name. And he purchased
Tony
his.
Out there.
Yeah, I'll send this to him. He purchased his first home, I believe, for $220,000 in Seattle area, and used down payment assistance, and so very little to nothing out of pocket. And he's currently doing a refinance, and his home that he paid $220,000 for with little to no money out of pocket 5.5 years ago just appraised for $590,000, and he's in a great position because he purchased that home.
Tony adores me now.
Yeah.
Because I was the one that negotiated that.
He owes you,
So, hey, Tony. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, there's it's kind of overwhelming how many options there are for first-time home buyers, and it varies state by state. There's different down payment assistance programs, but Washington has a great one, and the income limits are very workable, up to $180,000 in household income, and you still qualify. So that covers a lot of people.
Well,
so if you have questions, reach out.
People that are in the financial bracket of maybe $100,000 a year, $75,000 a year, you can still get a condo. You can start with a condo, and it's affordable within your price bracket, and you start with a condo. In fact, one of
That's what I did.
Belinda, remember?
Yeah.
She got a condo. She paid $140,000 for it, and now it's worth like almost $300,000.
Yeah.
So that was a little while ago, but it doubles, and she's got equity, and
security
definitely was a good start. Yeah.
Right.
So don't say, "Oh, I only make $75,000. I'll never qualify for anything," because that's just not true.
Yeah.
And then my favorite place, USDA. You can always
we
find
need to do a podcast on USDA loans. Yeah. So we're in Bothell, Washington. We're almost in USDA eligibility territory out here. Yeah. So if you go a little northeast of where we are now, you can buy a home with the USDA financing. It is a great option if you're in those areas.
It's zero down.
Yeah, you can do a zero down.
And the PMI is included in the interest rate. And the interest rate is lower.
Right, yeah, it's a great option.
So, yeah. So, if you want to live out in the country.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do.
Yeah,
country living.
Yeah, it's fine.
So we will continue to host first-time homebuyer courses here in the Seattle area. And if you have any questions about the next upcoming one, message us and we can get information to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get started.
Yeah.
Now's the time. Springtime's here.
Yeah. It's still gray skies outside, but there's a little bit of light. But,
there's more light. It's coming. I'm being optimistic.
Thank you for joining us.
No April showers today.
Right. Maybe.
Well, I'm Diane, Skyline Properties in Bothell. You've got my email there on the podcast, so definitely get a hold of me. I'm ready to find a home for you. And Chad will get you the best deal for lending.
I will. Promise.
Absolutely.
All right. Over and out. Thanks, guys.
See ya. Bye.